And I saw that vibrate through the community with the outreach of women to each other to see and affect change. And I thought that was a powerful thing, that women were actually grabbing by the reins the injustices and disservices that had been affecting our industry, and choosing, instead of being a victim of the systems that had been in place long before they had come along, but to affect the change, be the change leaders, drive the ship, call things by their name. And that's what I was really drawn to about Time's Up. It was a leadership seat rather than a back seat to the things that were happening around them. And to watch that expand out into different avenues and channels and lanes, be that with Time's Up advertising, Time's Up venture. We're seeing women across various industries really starting to affect and activate within their own industries to really, paint on the canvas and create the world they want to see. And that was powerful to me.
Great, thank you. And as you started to become involved in Time's Up, I'm sure you've met a lot of women who you may not have known before within the entertainment industry and outside. What has it been like to start having conversations with and doing work with women who you may not have met or really interacted with before?
I think it's two things, really. I think two things have come to life for me, and something that I always knew to be true. There's always been this myth and this idea out there that women don't know how to work and serve together. And I think what I've really seen articulated through the experience of Time's Up is how untrue that really is. Because what I've watched and seen is women who haven't known each other, maybe previous to these meetings, previous to this organization forming, come together and work well together. I've seen women come together and help to mentor and encourage other women. Platforms and things that might not be the Time's Up focus. You're always working for the single goal, but we have our own personal battles or questions or things going on in our life. That network of women have come together to really serve a single woman and help, encourage her to work towards whatever it is that she's looking for. If she's looking for, in the middle of a negotiation, you see a circle of women come together and bring their past experiences to the table for that woman to, implement those things in her own current negotiations. So that network is amazing. Secondly, I think we always walk around and talk about the boys club, right? That's a language we all know, that there's the conversations and negotiations that happen on the golf course or in the locker room, and we never ever have a women's club or an equal version of that out there. And I think what Time's Up has served to do through coming together, we came together through something very painful. It's been, in some regards, turned into a positive outlet for women to really come together and create work, create effective policy changes, work, we're seeing with the Legal Defense Fund. That took women coming together with that idea and putting it into place, creating the GoFundMe, launching that initiative, the farmers, letter to in solidarity for the farmers, women working in the farmers union. All of these things, women coming together, and I think that's what's powerful about Time's Up. You're seeing the power and effect of women's voices being used and heard.
I love that you said that, because we are trying to create our own sisterhood here, and together we can do anything. That's the idea. So Uzo, you work on a show, Orange is the New Black.
Never heard of it.
That was created by women.
Yes.
And featured a predominantly female cast, and a very diverse one at that.
Correct.
So how has this experience for you as an actor differed from other set experiences?
I think that the experience on Orange has differed in a couple ways. Number one, I've never worked in an environment driven by and performed by so many women. I have never been in a work experience where I've seen so many different types of women on one single show. In other words, I've never seen more than one black female representative that is different from each other stand alongside more than one Latin representative on a show. We have 7 black women, 6 Latin women, Asian women, gay women, ages varying from young to younger. We have we have trans women on our show. We have sizes, varying sizes on our show, and women who are able to tell those stories effectively. And then on the back side of the camera, we have so many different representations of women there as well. And I think that's really powerful. I've never had that experience, but one other time, y'all. One, in my entire career. I worked on a play by a woman named Denai Guerrero, wrote a play named Eclipse. Yeah. And that was the only other time I'd seen a woman actively affect the production room. And I would go to that play, and we would be in rehearsal, and I remember that was the first time I had seen the production table dominated by women. One man. And it was the assistant stage manager, not the stage manager, not the PSM, the assistant stage manager. And additionally, it was the first time I'd ever been in a room where the production table was dominated by women of color. And we were telling a story. It was the room was, the entire cast was all women. The play was about, rape as a tool of war in Liberia. And I remember how powerful that room felt. I remember how creative that room felt, how smart that room felt, how safe and that room felt with regards to being able to share my own personal stories and experiences and feeling like that my voice was being heard and seen. And that was incredible. And flashing forward from, that was in 2009, and then flashing forward to 2012, when I started at Orange is the New Black, and that was the second time. And I remember being in a scene that we finished, we called cut, we were all walking back to our dressing rooms, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with a movie or a TV show, but when we're filming, there's an area called Video Village, where the producers and writers and directors, that's where they watch the show. They can see what we're filming, and they can see it up close and sort of make their notes and step in to set and talk to us actors about how wonderfully the art guys were doing, And when we were walking back to our dressing rooms, we walked past Video Village, and sitting there we had Genji, our show creator. We had Cindy Holland, the executive from Netflix. We had, I think Jodie Foster was there, Sean Heder. All these women were sitting in those seats, and there again was just this one man. Right? It's like mirrors. And I remember thinking to myself, I've never seen this before, but one other time, which is powerful because it means it's not happening. Right. If it was the norm and the practice, I would have walked by it without any attention, right? But because I was stopping and accounting for that time during the play in 2009, because I was stopping and accounting for the time in 2012, it means it was a rarity what I was seeing there. And what it did for me, and why things like representation matters, which is why things like your voice being heard matters, it made me think differently about my own possibility. It made me stop thinking. It changed for me the idea of what I was doing on set, which was great, and I continue and love to do it. But it expanded for me the idea of, wow, no, there's a host of jobs within this industry that I could be part of. And I think that's what's powerful about our show.
Great, thank you. I'd like to talk for a minute, if we can, about intersectionality.
Okay.
Okay, so intersectionality is a very core value at Time's Up. If we're not lifting up all women, women of all colors, socioeconomic classes, ability levels, religion, sexual identities, then we shouldn't be doing this work. But the term intersectionality, it can seem abstract, it can seem academic, it can be confusing to people. So, can you talk a little bit about what that means to you and how you think we can implement intersectionality in our day-to-day work lives, whether that's in the entertainment industry or beyond?
I mean, intersectionality, of course it can sound academic, but that's the word we have now, so I'll use it. Intersectionality to me means my brother's keeper, and in this forum, my sister's keeper, right? It means we all are in everyone's fight. That is the person who is of a disadvantaged place, has been marginalized, is a minority, is being oppressed because of their sexual orientation, is being underpaid because of their gender, is experiencing racial inequity. Everyone is suffering. My fight is your fight, is the point of intersectionality, and I think it's important because, number one, it keeps us humane and conscious. Just because your problems have been solved, just because your issue is on the front burner, does not mean there are no issues. And more importantly, I think until we can really understand that my fight is your fight, we can really understand what that means, there will not be real change. In other words, if we are fighting for one single person's issue, but not fighting for all issues holistically, what it means is any increases, any advantages, any advances that you have are limited and short-term, and equally can be deconstructed, because what we are living in is a society that doesn't believe in the equality for all people, and that's why it's important to me, intersectionality, until every single person in this country, whatever it is that you have been born with, are experiencing, whatever race you have found yourself a part of, no matter what gender you are, until every single person is being treated the exact same, no one here is safe. So you have to believe in your fight being someone else's fight, my fight is somebody else's fight. You have to fight for everybody, right? And you have to use your voice, for everyone. That's the power in it, I think, is not realizing I should not just be exclusively concerned about women's issues and women of color's issues. Now, I have to be concerned equally with gay right issues. I have to be equally as concerned with gender, sexual identity issues. I have to be equally as concerned with disability issues. I have to be equally concerned with people battling disease. I have to be equally concerned with all of those things, and should be, by the way, equally as offended that those people are being discriminated against. That, I think, is the importance of intersectionality. It's a humanity, I think it's a humanitarian effort.
That was beautifully put, thank you. And at Time's Up, we strongly believe that those of us women who have a voice and have more power must be in support of and in partnership with those women who don't have that voice.
That's right.
Great. Well, just a little bit more on this topic. Some people, are afraid to insert themselves into this conversation.
Or?
About race, class, sexual identity, ability. They're afraid. They don't want to accidentally say the wrong thing, even if they have the right intentions, right? Or they don't want their ignorance of what the right terms are or words are to offend. Do you have any tips on how people can navigate this world of intersectionality and how people can approach saying the right thing and doing the right thing when they have those intentions?
It's funny because we're living in a very sensitive time, and rightfully so. Words matter, they do. And your intention also matters. I think that it never hurts when unsure to preface something with, I'm not clear, I'm not sure if this is the right language, or I don't mean to offend, so please help me if there's a better way in which I can frame this. I don't think it ever hurts to start there because, I've had many times people, come up to me and they're describing someone, say, and they're like, she was short, she was wearing jeans, she had a white t-shirt on, she was blah. You know what I'm talking about. And sometimes it's funny, and I'm having popcorn, and I'm watching, like, which one we're going to go with, you know? and you can tell sometimes this person does not mean any offense. This person doesn't know what to say, right? And you can throw them a line and say, it's okay to say black. It is okay. It's okay to say black. It's okay. What is your heart's intention, right? And if you're unsure and you're stepping into it, rather than step in it, you know, you can say, what term do you prefer? Is there a term you prefer? Do you prefer black? Do you prefer white? I don't want to offend. And I think you can just be conscious of another person's